What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Phoenix here, back with a brand new Marvel Spider-Man 2 informational video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about what could Miles have a choice between letting Mr. Negative be killed by Kraven or him saving him. So without a doubt, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button down below. And without a doubt, let's go ahead and jump right into it. This article comes from thegamerant.com, and it says, the cinematic reveal for Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man 2 leaves the audience guessing who his prey will be, but it's likely he'll target Peter and Miles. The potential targets highlighted on the datapad may put many characters at risk, including Mr. Negative. Miles' unresolved grief over his father's death and anger towards Martin Lee could complicate matters if Kraven sets its sights on Mr. Negative, leading to an interesting character development for Miles. Now, let's start with what we know so far. With what we know so far is for the fact that Mr. Negative is not anywhere, his name's not mentioned like anywhere on Kraven's datapad. And bringing Lee back is going to complicate that because I do not feel like Mr. Negative is going to be targeted. Like, I don't feel like he's going to be targeted at all because, like I said before, he's not on the datapad, but he does show up in the trailer. So my guess for the fact that Kraven is potentially going to end up seeing that Martin Lee is on a list, and he's going to be very interested because of the fact that he doesn't know that he's on a list. So he's completely new to Kraven. So with that, that could be some amazing character development right there because we can potentially see, say, if Kraven does set his sights on Mr. Negative and tries to hunt him down, Miles is going to potentially have to save him, or he's going to have to let Kraven kill him. But in my opinion, I don't think Miles is going to do that. But following that, it says, the cinematic reveal for Kraven the Hunter in Marvel Spider-Man 2 was great in how it didn't narrow down who the antagonist's prey would be. Of course, assuming he's not going after every single character pinpointed on the datapad, Kraven would obviously be going after Peter and Miles to put himself squarely in their focal point as a new villain in New York City. However, the gameplay reveal that followed informed fans that Kraven is going after Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard, at least at that moment in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And he may have other targets as well. Now, we do know this for a fact that he does have other targets, such as Taskmaster, Black Cat, Prowler. I think the Sinister Six was also listed on there as well, but I really don't think that he's hunting them down. But he has a lot of people on his list, and that's just insane. Now, we do not know how many people he's going to hunt down. So, like I said, I'm still sticking with my guess for a fact that he's primarily going to be going after Miles and Peter. But following that, it says then that puts a lot of people at risk that Peter and Miles may be more at odds of rescuing. One character who isn't seen on the datapad, for example, but who has been revealed to play a role in Marvel Spider-Man is Mr. Negative. If Kraven sets his sights on Martin Lee, Miles will have to make a difficult decision ahead of him. Now, with this, we already know for a fact that he is obviously going to have to make a difficult decision. Now, this is where potentially I honestly think that the whole entire similarity between Peter's origin story with him tracking down Uncle Ben's killer can come into play. I have a feeling that we obviously know for a fact that in the trailer, it looks like Martin Lee does not know that Miles is Spider-Man. And to me, he's obviously pulling a Johnny Cage from the trailer saying this.
Who are you again?
So my guess for the fact that Martin Lee does not know that Miles is Spider-Man, well, the second Spider-Man in the game. So that is my guess because he never knew. Seeing that he was locked up that long, I don't think he knows. Following that, it says Mr. Negative played a substantial role as the supposed main antagonist in Marvel Spider-Man, and fans spent quite some time pursuing him as Peter. Miles being a part of the story and having his own playable sequences essentially declared that he'd become Spider-Man eventually, and having his father die in the mayhem of Mr. Negative's attack on City Hall was a significant part of his origin story. Now, with that, I do 100% do agree with that because that was a take on Miles going through a lot of grief and him going to Feast and meeting Peter and then figuring out that Peter was Spider-Man. And with that whole entire thing, he did have his own playable section, so we did see that coming eventually. Following that, it says Miles wouldn't become Spider-Man until his own standalone game, but it's apparent from Marvel Spider-Man 2 story trailer that the trauma of his father's death is not something he's finished grieving yet. Part of that must have something to do with Martin Lee being around, albeit incarcerated, but Miles clearly has not received closure on that portion of his life based on how he appears to speak with him when they're finally face to face once more. Now, with this, we already know for a fact that Miles is obviously going to fight Mr. Lee at some point. I do 100% think that that is going to happen. But like I said, I honestly do not think it's going to happen because Peter is right there in the back of that shot. So chances are he is going to have to stop him because if Miles goes after Lee, that could lead into something worse. And that is also dealing with revenge, similar to something as, Peter potentially dealing with his killer. And we already saw what happened when Peter went after Uncle Ben's killer. So Peter is going to potentially have to stop Miles from going after Martin. But following that, it says seeing Martin during what looks like another breakout at the raft seems exhumed those emotions and grief. But while Miles' anger might feel like a welcome home for his thoughts at the moment, it appears as if Peter is being reserved as the hostile Spider Man instead. If both Miles and Peter are experiencing rage for two wildly separate reasons, it will be difficult for Miles to put aside his own in order to help Peter. Now, obviously, in the trailer, it does seem like, obviously, when you hear Miles, he is very angry. So, my guess for the fact that he's probably going to have to end up letting Martin Lee escape to help Peter because it doesn't make any sense for Miles to be angry and for Peter to be angry for two separate reasons. With that, I do have a feeling that Peter's going to be the hostile Spider Man. Miles is going to have to be, the chill Spider Man, like telling, like letting Lee go. But following that, it says perhaps Miles' closure comes sooner rather than later and allows him to focus his attention on helping his Spider Man counterpart, friend, and mentor. But Kraven committing to hunting Mr. Negative could give Miles a much more interesting development. If so, Miles would need to put aside his anger towards Martin to save him because otherwise, letting Kraven kill him would be an unpredictable yet refreshing narrative turn. Now, I honestly do not see potentially Miles letting Kraven do this because of the fact that obviously with Martin Lee returning, he's playing potentially one of the most important roles in the game. So I don't see Miles letting Kraven kill him because that would go up against everything because Miles would end up going for revenge after what happened to his dad. So he obviously wants to get some revenge. But I do feel like Miles is going to step in and he's going to protect Mr. Negative and save him from Kraven. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But following that, it ends up saying it would be odd for Kraven to pursue Martin as his prey since Martin doesn't possess any affinity for combat or an animalistic nature that Kraven commonly targets. But doing so would give Miles an incredible development whether he chooses to save Mr. Lee or let Kraven kill him. The consequences of either decision could be seen rippling throughout the story thereafter. Now, with this, you guys already know how I feel about this. Kraven only hunts down people that have certain animalistic natures in some combat because he wants a challenge. But with Mr. Negative, I don't see him doing that at all, and I do see Miles saving Mr. Negative. I don't see Miles letting Kraven kill him. So, without a doubt, it's from your boy Phoenix, and I'll see you guys later with another spectacular, Spidey, webtastic banger.